Good morning. This is Jason Dean coming at you again for another Film Fanatic show. So today's show is all about the stunning conclusion to True Detective Season 1, Episode 8. This is my favorite show of all time, and I feel like this is one of the greatest payoffs in a story that I've ever seen. This episode, the final episode in the series, is called Form and Void. Simply stunning. The biggest surprise about this show was the discovery of the actor Glenn Flesher, who plays the King in Yellow. It is finally revealed who the killer is, the King in Yellow, the serial killer, the culprit for all of these horrendous murders and disappearances that have been going on over time throughout the story. We at first are led to believe that this one particular murder is an isolated case, but then it opens up to more and more to where we start to realize, especially by 5 and 6, that this murderer is probably not alone and that this is part of some grand conspiracy. And Glenn Flesher plays the King in Yellow, and it's one of the most stunning performances I've ever seen. And since I saw him in this series, I have seen him in many other films and whatnot. The one I remember going to see the Joker with Joaquin Phoenix when that came out in the theater. And I went with a friend who, my friend Emmett, we went to go see the Joker in the theater when it came out. He was also a huge, massive fan of this series as well. And Glenn Flesher was in that film. He played a supporting role. Everything I've seen with him in it since seeing him for the first time in True Detective, he's always played these relatively small supporting roles. I don't believe he's been in any, a lead actor in anything, which is kind of a shame. But and I remember watching when we went to the Joker and we saw it, and his Glenn Flesher was in this movie, the Joker, played a small supporting role, but a real important role. I remember thinking like, wow, where the fuck do I know this guy from? I kept thinking like he looks so familiar. And then about 5 minutes into it, it clicked, and I was like, "Oh wait, that's the King in Yellow from True Detective." And I was like, "Holy shit!" Because I was blown away because I had not seen him in anything else since True Detective, and that his character and his portrayal in that in True Detective has just etched in my memory as kind of one of the best performances ever and one of the most frightening characters I've ever seen. And I remember turning to Emmett and saying, "Hey, that's the guy who played the King in Yellow in True Detective," and we were both like, "Oh shit!" And and since then, I've seen him in you know probably about 3 or 4 different movies where he is a supporting role, and and it's amazing because he is such a chameleon. Like you literally do not recognize him from one part to the next. It's like a true actor, and I've seen, it really piqued my interest to find out more about him, and I've listened to interviews with him, some podcast interviews that he's done, and I've looked him up, and his filmography is astounding. And he's like so well respected, but he is kind of completely unknown. And he only plays these supporting roles, but his credentials are amazing. He's worked. He was based in New York actor, and I think he still is. He worked in all kinds of theater. I think he even did Broadway and off Broadway shows as well. I mean, just so many roles, and I think he is. I really think he's not a household name by any means, but I think he should be, and I feel like he's one of the greatest actors working. Period. I mean, just amazing. And you know, this stunning conclusion to the series again, Form and Void, is just incredible. It really ties in the whole mythology around the King in Yellow, the Carcosa. element, based on Chamberlain's book, which I'm going to do, which is a short story, the King in Yellow, and and that's where all of the kind of the mythical aspects, or say, I'd even say some of the a lot of the occult elements that are ingredients in this show, where it was that's where it's taken from. So I'm going to do a show where I'm going to talk just about that book, and it's a short story and it's incredible. So yeah, I cannot recommend this series enough. It is the greatest series ever. And again, I don't feel like, I think calling it a series isn't really appropriate. I feel like this whole thing plays out like a movie. I really do. So thanks again for checking out this channel and leaving comments, and all the new subscribers. This has been a fun little adventure talking about each episode of True Detective Season 1, the greatest show ever / movie. Peace.